Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and today we're going to be checking out some more Darktide. You see, I and pretty much everyone else who has access to the pre-order beta has been binge playing this game as much as possible. I actually did a 14-hour stream on Friday and I intend to do a little bit more later today after this video goes live. This would be on twitch.tv/the Great Book of Grudges if you want to join. What I want to do in this video is compile the stuff I've learned, which is quite essential in a top 10 tips video. This won't be specific to any class itself, but rather the game as a whole to get you going and just to generally help you out. So with all that being said, let's just jump right in. Right, so let's get started with our first tip. As soon as you start up your game, you should head towards your shop. This is quite important as the shop itself rotates with what it has around every hour or so. With the stock changing, that might mean that an item might be of use to you. Like for example here, there's an upgrade for my MG, there's also a pretty decent reliquary, there's a few different things, so I want to pick up this stuff because it's going to be gone in 18 minutes. Had I just gone straight into a mission and joined up with some friends, I would have missed this out. Truth, after you do about a mission or two, you should always come back and check out because your missions on average will be around 20 minutes, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less depending on the team that you have. But come back every 2 missions or so to be able to check out your equipment. So equipment means better effects, more damage, you'll be more useful in harder difficulties if you're trying to get to finally stop playing 1s and 2s and start going to 3s, 4s and 5s. You can't go there with your basic starter stuff. I mean, you can, but you probably won't last very long. You will notice that you will get a lot of items naturally, not just through the shop, sometimes through missions and stuff. The best thing that you can do is discard it. Not only will it just destroy it and free up some space in your area, but you will get some cash back. So if you're lacking on cash, just destroying the stuff with a simple discard, that's just the X button when you're in your inventory, that will solve out that problem. Right, let's talk about wounds. So wounds are attached to your health bar. That's the little white bar when you're playing down there on the bottom left-hand screen. And normally you'll start off with 3, right? There are ways to get more, but what exactly are wounds and why are they useful? The wounds will not increase your health, but rather keep you in the battle longer before you end up getting taken down properly, needing to get rescued. This means that since I have 5 wounds on my character right now, I can get taken down a number of times, and as long as I just don't get fully killed when I'm in the red, my teammates keep bringing me back up, well, that means that I can just keep coming back and back and back. This will be fairly useful for you if you're more of a frontline type of player, maybe you prefer playing more melee. I've been playing the veteran sharpshooter a lot, but I've been loving the shovel axe because, Krieger. Yes, there's going to be some times that I'm taken down, so this is going to be very useful, just being able to come back. Obviously, it's not going to grant more toughness or more HP, but hey, it means that I'll still be able to be useful for a lot longer before I'm eventually properly taken down. This would be in harder difficulties when the game does indeed get harder. Obviously, yes, this is a teamwork-based game, but there are times that you might find yourself separated when you're dealing with, say, for example, a Plague Ogre and a Beast of Nurgle, hell, sometimes a Horde, or just some of the events when you have to separate a little bit. For the majority of the time you'll be together and picking each other up at a quick pace, unless you've got like some sort of psychopath in the group, which is usually me, just charging off ahead to try shovel people to death. An easy way to get extra wounds is by purchasing some CURIOS, and CURIOS are the next tip as they are just as important as your weapons. These are basically trinket items, but they provide some bonuses depending on what you have. Some of them can increase some wounds. They can also increase your HP, your toughness. Hell, they can make you do some more damage with certain weapons. They can give you increased corruption resistance. There's different types, and you need to kind of cycle through them depending on how you play. In later game difficulties, when you start going to the higher ones, you're going to want to cycle about. So in this case, I'm not really selling my CURIOS that much, but rather keeping them there until I can get to a point where I go, okay, now I need to start getting rid of some. For example, if you have some with extra experience, just spam some lower level ones, some 1s and 2s, and that means that you can power level a little bit faster. When you start going into the harder difficulties, well, this means that you're going to have to switch that around for extra HP, some damage resistance from certain enemies, extra toughness, whatever makes you stay alive a little bit longer. You won't have all the slots available to you as you start playing, and you'll get them as trust is gained. So I've already got 2, the last one is unlocked at trust 24, and it's not that difficult to get there. This is the one character I've been playing. I've just been chilling, really. I've not been like power leveling, but I'm already getting to the point of getting them, and that means that I can just get another bonus. This will make me far more useful when it comes to doing some 3s, 4s, and 5s. Alright, let's move on to the next tip. So weekly contracts. You'll be getting these as you get a little bit more trust. You won't get this at the beginning of your game. It's really fast to actually unlock these, and this is how you get a form of premium currency. It's a quest system that resets every week, hence the name. It'll be randomized. You can see here I've got a few others, and I've not got a lot of time left, but this is because the beta started with like only 3 days to the weekly contract, unfortunately, but this will now reset in 10 hours. So if I want to get this premium currency, this is the way to go. And if I don't like the missions on the contract, like for example, you might see here that I've got kill 750 scabs with range, but I've already got kill 500 scabs with range. The reason why I have the 750 one is because the other one I had was focused around grimoires, and I'm doing grimoires and scriptures. It is a bit of a hassle, so I decided to reset it. You can reset it for the cost of normal currency, but it will be totally random too. The premium currency itself is used for limited time acquisitions, which is some pretty strong gear. You can see here that they're fairly expensive, so you won't be able to get them done in maybe in a week, depends on what you want, but yeah, you can see, right? There's one that's 1,600. It'll take some time to acquire this, so doing your weeklies is quite important. You can knock it out on a full day if you're doing just a very long session, but if you're just playing like a couple of hours each day, or maybe every 2 days, you should still be fine, unless they're just really difficult missions. So far, I've really not seen anything that's just too difficult to do. It's just the case of timing and just getting it done. Having a squad of friends, or just even in randoms, is still doable as long as, you know, just make it clear, look, I need to pick up some grimoires or some scriptures, and you're good to go. You can also use your premium currency to gamble a little bit, which will be to pick up an unknown melee weapon, a unknown curio, an unknown range weapon. The quality can range, and I did buy some weapon with my actual premium currency through this because I just wanted to see how the system was. It wasn't great, it wasn't bad either. It gave me a catch and sword, which I generally just don't like using because each weapon is very different. So it's more of the case of, really, if you want to do this, either it's for the novelty or you're just desperate for a new weapon, but you should be fine if you just check on the store often. You won't really need to do this. You can save your premium currency for the limited time stuff where you can get some really good stuff. Right, we're going to talk about cosmetics and penances because, well, it just kind of makes sense to put them together. So as you start off, you're going to be in your prison garments, right? And that's no fun. You want to look cool. This is cosmetic gear. It's not going to give you any abilities and stuff, but it's just, you know, for a little bit of a visual change, make yourself look a lot cooler. I've already unlocked some gear, which makes my character look a little bit better. I mean, he still looks like a meth head, but that's just his face. Getting cosmetics is always kind of fun anyway, because that means you can tailor your character to look exactly the way that you want him to. There's also some frames and insignias that you won't really see, but it's just kind of cool, right? And that can be done by penances. All you have to do is press escape. It's right there where your social tab is to invite your friends. It's called penance. And these are basically in-game achievements, right? When you go in here, you'll see that you've got some internal achievements, and this will tell you what exactly to do. So you just have to cycle through it. It'll say, like, for example here, help 50 downed operatives back up, and that will give me some achievement points. But they'll also provide some cosmetics sometimes, and you'll see it's pretty clear because it's right next to the actual worth of the points too. It's class specific, and it's going to tell you exactly what to do. You just have to do certain things. The idea is you put it in your head, essentially, oh, I need to do this. Like, for example, rescue a total of 10 operatives to get a new frame, or kill 5 enemies with the last round in your clip during a single mission with malice, threat, or higher. That would be difficulty free, which isn't too bad. Great thing is, as you're naturally playing, you will be unlocking these. Sure, you can go into the pen section and find one that you want to find and do yourself, but you're going to really naturally unlock cosmetics, and I think that's a really, really cool thing, because unlocking naturally is usually just the best way to go. Sure, there's going to be some stuff that you're going to have to change up your playstyle for a bit, like, for example, having to stun a sniper through 40 yards, and it depends on the class, it depends on what you have to do. but most cases you're going to unlock naturally if you're very well rounded. Next we're going to go into picking a mission type. So there's loads of different missions as you can see, and right now there's not everything. Keep in mind that we're still in the beta for the pre-order. As time progresses, as we get closer to launch, more and more missions will become active. There's one thing that's going to stay the same, and that's difficulty, where there's 5 different levels of difficulty. So this depends on how you play, how well gear you have, in general, what you want to do in terms of stress, because it can get a little bit more stressful as it starts getting a little harder. There's 5 levels. There is completely no shame on playing on 1s and 2s until you feel that you can go on to 3s, then 4s and 5s. Take your time. It's no race. There's no competition here. Just have your fun. Regardless of difficulty, the most basic of missions will only have the bright white icon on them on the left hand side. You can see that there, where it will be a strike, assassination, anything like that, but it's just go in there, do the objective, and done. It's only a primary objective. These are the best ones to get started with if you're new to the game, regardless of difficulty, as you won't have to do some extra things and potentially get overwhelmed if you do get overwhelmed by these sort of things. The second type of mission is another white icon, but just muted in color, and these will be your secondary objectives. These are usually recover scriptures, recover grimoires. If you remember stuff with Vermintide, yeah, you're pretty much sorted here, but it adds in some extra cash to pick up and some extra experience if you just want to level up a bit faster. Usually the scriptures one is the easier one, as grimoires will provide a bit of a negative to your characters in the form of extra corruption, which means that you won't be able to heal as much when you do heal. It's always good to get used to these types of missions in the lower form of difficulty, just so you know where to find them and stuff, because this is more of a hunt down certain items that could be pretty much anywhere throughout the map before you start moving into some harder difficulty ones too. And then there's a few extra things that can happen for your missions, such as global conditions, where you'll see yellow markers and stuff. This will either make your game harder or make it easier, so you'll see more hordes or fewer hordes. Sometimes there is a mission which actually will reduce visibility, which for someone like me, who I can't really see that well normally, it does make it a little harder, but much more of a challenge, a lot more fun, especially if you're playing with friends on communication devices like Discord or whatever, just to, you know, banter and meme and stuff. These conditions aren't permanent. You can see up there that they do have a time and they will reset. We've had a few different ones already, just with fewer hordes, more hordes, and visibility at the moment, but it's kind of fun and it does make the game a little bit different. Even though you're fighting in the same maps right now, we still have to wait for the next section of map unlocks. It's just allowing for a palette cleanser, and I think it's really, really cool. I love this idea. It's obviously something that we've seen in Vermintide, and it's really good here too. This next tip is learning the mechanics. I know that sounds very stupid to say, but there's a lot more to this game than just running, stabbing, and shooting. Sometimes you'll need to take cover and find a vantage point to fire enemies. Certain enemies are specials, which will be able to lock you down into locations, or just really take you out of the fight very quickly. You have to make sure that you've learned your mechanics, and there's no shame in taking time to just learn how your class plays or just the game in general, so you can go back to the training area where you'll be able to just try out the advanced stuff over and over again. I'd say that this is the best way to go. You'll obviously learn how to do it through missions. If you're not used to these types of games, take your time, jump into some weaker missions. Nobody's going to think any less of you if you don't jump into 2s and 3s at the very beginning. Just go into 1s, take your time to learn how to play the game, as not only will this provide a better experience for yourself, but also your teammates. Keep in mind, again, this is a team-based game. You're not always going to be playing with bots, you're mostly going to be playing with people. Good experience for you and a good experience for everyone else means a quicker game, in general, better time for everyone involved. That this is a 4-player squad game. The next tip, don't forget about your feats. I know this might sound like a given, but the fact is that your feats are quite important. You unlock them pretty much every 5 trust that you get. These are your levels, and you'll be able to change up your playstyle a little bit here. Obviously, each class has its different types of feats. So here is the Veteran Sharpshooter. This is what I'm mostly playing because I'm really enjoying the Veteran. I'm focusing on a lot of range damage right now, as I was before mostly on melee, and the Sharpshooter sharpshooter is probably not the best for melee. However, when you have access to a shovel, you never know. But I could change around. If I want to focus more on demolition, I can have a feat which will naturally replenish my grenades every 45 seconds, I believe, which is going to be extremely useful if I'm dealing with one of those missions that have a lot of hordes. I can then take them out a lot easier and make sure that my team does not get overwhelmed. I am a ranged support class. I need to be able to do as much as possible to support my fellow teammates. The next tip, it's learn your equipment, change, experiment, because there's so many different types of weapons. Yes, you might see a lot of stuff saying las gun, but a lot of the las guns are different. Same thing with auto guns. It goes for every class. You've got access to a lot of different types of weapons, be it melee, be it ranged. This will allow you to find your perfect playstyle. For example, for myself, I'm preferring the shovel axe, sometimes the chainsword. And for my ranged weapon, I'm liking the MG las guns. This is usually the Cantriell at the moment. But if you want a gun to be more like a Krieger and use your bayonets, you can use a Hellbore. There's so many different options, and I think this is what makes the game so interesting. Right now, we don't have all the different careers that you can take, and I don't think we're going to be getting a lot of them at the very beginning. I think it's just one each, and then obviously then with DLC, like what happened with Vermintide. But with all the options now, your basic career already has a lot of different style of play. Throughout my gameplay, I've just been playing the sharpshooter, but I've been experimenting with all the different types of weapons, just seeing which one is for me, which one I like the most, which is the best, which is best for certain types of missions. It's just making the game incredibly fun for me. When I start moving on to the other classes, I'm going to have that same thing once again. Even with the fact that we only currently have a few different mission types, I'm still finding myself trying new things constantly every single time. The last tip, it's teamwork. Yes, I know this sounds like a given, but it's a teamwork based game and you're going to have a lot more fun when it comes to teamwork. In general, communication is key. That doesn't mean that you always have to play with friends over Discord and stuff, but you can chat. You just have to press enter. Or if you want to be able to send a message like go here, there's a health kit here, stuff like that, tag an enemy, it's the middle mouse button. Teamwork is key for these types of games. If you've played stuff like Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, Vermintide, this is very much the same thing. And it's very important if you want to succeed at your missions. You can't pretty much go at it alone. You can if you're just solo playing with bots and you just are very, very good. But the main idea is this is one of those things where you just have some fun, experience a pretty cool story, which we'll talk about in a future video, just shoot and kill stuff, which is always really fun, especially for a Warhammer 40,000 game. We finally have something where you can just go out there and kill some heretics. Remember, like I said previously, teamwork is important, and it's not just for the sake of your enjoyment, but the enjoyment of everyone else. You can make some friends here. I've already started chatting to a few different players, and it was actually quite nice. I've been grouping up with them fairly often. Now, this is just the basic tips. We're going to have some more videos on the subject as time progresses. There's going to be a lot more content. I am really enjoying this game. I am really enjoying this game. I'll be streaming live on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges as soon as this video pretty much goes live, so if you want to join me, maybe we can have a game, let me know, and let me know your thoughts of this game in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. Until then, have a good day everyone, and I shall see you all again very, very soon.